What's up, ladies and gentlemen? This is the Jose Show. Happy Thursday. I hope that everyone is enjoying their day, but today isn't just Thursday. Today is the day that a new pope just got elected. Well, Robert Prevost, who happens to be an American native, just becomes the first American pope in history and the 267th pope. Well, Robert Prevost walked out onto the Basilica balcony in St. Peter's Square overlooking thousands of congregants in the Vatican City and announced his official papal name Thursday evening. Alright, so Prevost, a Chicago native who's now a Peruvian citizen, declared he would take the name Leo XIV. Well, just an hour earlier, white smoke poured forth from the Sistine Chapel chimney, indicating the cardinals had successfully chosen by a 2/3 majority the next bishop of Rome, ending a relatively short 2-day conclave. So Leo is now the 267th pope, the 69-year-old elected this morning in the third round of the papal conclave by his fellow cardinals, was made a cardinal himself by Pope Francis in 2023. So Prevost became a citizen of the South American nation in 2015, where he had served as a missionary for years. He was the Bishop of Chiclayo in Peru and the head of the Augustinian order, and is known as a supporter and advocate of many of Francis's reforms in the church. So apparently US President Donald Trump congratulated the new pope on social media shortly after Leo made his first public appearance this Thursday. Okay, so this is really insane that this guy is now our pope, especially an American native, because this is the first time in history, ladies and gentlemen, that we have an American pope after so many years of this, ladies and gentlemen. I think this guy might do a really good job as a pope. He seems really holy, he seems really kind, he seems really open, and he seems really peaceful. And I'm hoping that this pope is going to be just as nice as Pope Francis was, because we really need a really nice pope. Because let's remember that Pope Francis was really equal, and he was really kind and sweet, and he was all about diversity and equality, especially with the LGBTQ plus community. Because at the end of the day, he knew that everyone, especially that community, are human beings that deserve respect and deserve equality and deserve so much niceness. And I'm hoping that this guy that is now the Pope will definitely be just like Pope Francis in those ways especially. Now, I personally believe that now that we have Robert Prevost, I think that he is one of the youngest popes that the Catholic Church has ever had, because this Pope is only 69 years old, and let's remember that Pope Francis was like in his late 80s, and I believe that the other popes were like around the 80s, maybe late 70s if I'm not mistaken. And I believe that now is the time where we should pray for a lot of healing, a lot of goodness into our world, now that this Pope is now elected as our Pope. And we should, hope for the best, hope for the beauty of it all for our nation and for our whole entire world. Because unfortunately, we're going through a bunch of tough times right now, where we are dealing with so much evil, so much ridiculousness, so much corruption, and we need to pray for all of that to stop for once and for all. Ladies and gentlemen, I believe, especially as a true Catholic, that everything should be going back to normal. Now, I am not expecting for everything to go back to normal just like that, but I am expecting for everything to go back to normal little by little at least, because that is definitely what we need as people. Okay, now, I think it's really hypocrite and it's really stupid that Donald Trump got to be congratulating the Pope, because this man is the same man that said that he was going to be the Pope in the future and that he was going to be in the Catholic Church and this and that. When in reality, this man, he don't know nothing about being a Christian nor about a Catholic nor about any of those other things, because this man is nothing but a freaking demon. And he is basically disrespecting the Catholic Church by going off, reposting a photo of him dressed as a Pope, and then basically him looking all serious about it in the photo supposedly. Like, come on now. If you're not going to be respecting the Catholic Church, then you might as well not be congratulating the new Pope at all. Like, have a little dignity and have a little class, Mr. President. Come on. But anyways, aside from that clown, congratulations to Robert Prevost on being the 267th Pope and for being the first American Pope in the history of the Catholic Church. All right, now on to the next topic. Now let's talk about Tish Cyrus. So Tish Cyrus is slamming the brakes on all that Family Feud chatter, insisting she never hit unfollow on daughter Miley, despite the internet spiraling into full meltdown mode. So Tish Cyrus set the record straight in the comments of her Sorry We're Cyrus podcast IG on Thursday, saying she had no idea how Miley's account got unfollowed and declared it definitely wasn't on purpose. So Tish made it loud and clear she has zero idea how the unfollow even happened and swears up and down she'd never intentionally boot Miley from her account. So apparently it definitely looked like Tish had to jump into damage control mode, especially since the unfollow came just hours after her ex Billy Ray Cyrus hinted he's going to see Miley soon. Alright, so the timing raised even more eyebrows since Tish recently mended fences with daughter Noah, making it seem like the Cyrus family tensions were flaring up all over again. Okay, so this is really insane, man. I think that Tish Cyrus did not unfollow Miley Cyrus on Instagram because Tish loves Miley. Tish is always there for Miley. I've seen it all in the red carpets and a bunch of other events, and they are so close to the point that they are like sisters, man. And I am so happy about that because I believe that's how a mother should treat her daughter. Okay, and I think that everybody just thought that Tish Cyrus got to unfollow Miley because of the speculations that supposedly Billy Ray Cyrus was gonna talk to Miley really soon and that he was looking for Miley. And then after that, they saw that Miley Cyrus was no longer in the following list of Tish Cyrus's account. And I mean, I don't blame all these people for thinking that Tish Cyrus purposely unfollowed Miley because of that. Because I mean, to me, it was a weird, interesting coincidence that shortly after the speculations of Billy wanted to communicate with Miley, now Tish supposedly unfollowed Miley on Instagram, came to light. But yet again, we need to really understand and we really need to, think it clearly that, sometimes in life, there could be glitches in Instagram, there could be glitches on Facebook where, somebody could accidentally unfollow someone or, somebody may end up being unfollowed by someone without that person unfollowing you. Okay, and this could most definitely be the case here with Tish Cyrus. Okay, so y'all need to come up with something better with your stories, with your drama, with everything. If y'all are really gonna still go off and believe that Tish Cyrus unfollowed Miley Cyrus, come on now. I really am not here for any of the makeup stories here, and I'm just saying it to those of y'all that are really believing in the story that Tish Cyrus actually got to unfollow Miley. And plus, Tish Cyrus got to refollow Miley shortly after that glitch happened. So come on, y'all need to just stop with the chit chatter. Alright, now on to the next topic. Now let's talk about Jennifer Aniston. So Jennifer Aniston's alleged stalker was in court Thursday to be arraigned, and not only has he been ordered to stay away from Aniston, but his mental competency is being evaluated to determine whether he's fit to stand trial. So Jimmy Wayne Carwile appeared in an LA courtroom Thursday to face 1 count of felony stalking and 1 count of felony vandalism. So apparently, Carwile looked this evil in court, appearing in a blue suicide prevention blanket. It's unclear if he had any clothes on under it. He stood behind thick panes of glass while proceedings occurred, quietly staring straight ahead. So the judge suspended further legal proceedings while Carwile's mental health is evaluated, and he's been told not to contact Aniston and stay 100 yards away from her at all times. So he's also not supposed to have firearms and to obey all laws, and court proceedings will eventually move forward if he's found competent. His bail was set at $150,000. Alright, so Carwell was arrested Monday after allegedly driving through the gates of Aniston's mansion in Bel Air, where her security guards held him at gunpoint until cops came and arrested him. Alright, so Aniston was at the house when Carwell allegedly crashed his car through the gate, though she never had any interaction with him. So the Los Angeles District Attorney's Office eventually charged Carwell with stalking after digging through his social media and finding several long, rambling posts that mention Aniston by name. All right. And this is all according to TMZ, by the way. This is really insane and this is really scary. Jennifer Aniston, if I were you, I would sell that house and I would move all the way to Indonesia or to China or to France or wherever, because you are really at risk, girl, to get your own life taken away by this psychomaniac that basically is over there stalking you and obsessed with you and this and that. Jesus Christ. I mean, I understand that the cops here in the situation were really good. They ended up arresting the man and they ended up making sure that the man is away from you with at least 100 yards. But you never know what this guy could do. You never know if this guy could disobey the officers and still go off doing his thing, going all the way to your house again. Be careful, Jennifer. Now, if I were you, Jennifer, I would also make sure that I would have bodyguards around the house if you decide not to move out of the country. Because if you have bodyguards around your house, I'm sure that those bodyguards will make sure that that stalker will not be stalking you and that that stalker will not provoke you at all in any other way. Okay, let's be honest. But Jennifer, please be careful. Now, another thing that I have to say too is I think that it's really interesting and it's really weird how this stalker is mentioning you way too much on social media, because that just comes to show that his obsession is going on a whole new scary level, to the point that he is like wanting your attention and he's wanting that you would maybe marry him one day and that you would be all over him and that you would maybe sleep with him probably, because I mean, when we're talking about long posts, we're talking about a lot of lovey-dovey letters and a lot of lovey-dovey flirtations in those posts that seem pretty weird and pretty scary. So yeah, be careful. Now on to the next topic. Now let's talk about Simon Cowell. So Simon Cowell has seen a lot in his career, but this jaw-dropping request was enough to leave even him speechless. So during an appearance on the How to Fall podcast on Wednesday, the America's Got Talent judge opened up about one of the most bizarre encounters he's ever had with a fan, and let's just say it came with a six-figure twist. So apparently people used to ask me to be rude to them, Cowell shared, noting he'd always declined those asks, but one night things got even weirder. I was in a restaurant and this guy comes up to me and said, "I love your show. Would you take a picture?" Cowell recalled. Alright, so easy enough, right? That's what Cowell thought, till the request took a turn for the NSFW when the man introduced his wife and asked, "Would you judge us having sex?" Alright, so I'm like, are you winding me up? He continued, admitting that he thought the man was joking. They went, "No, we'll pay you." So I asked how much. It was actually a lot of money, a whopping $150,000 to be exact, all to sit in and critique their bedroom moves. So Cowell said he thought about it for a second, but ultimately passed. Alright, so I just can't do it, he said. It was so bizarre. This is really funny and this is really weird that Simon Cowell was asked to judge a couple having sex, and then the man told Simon Cowell that he would pay him $150,000 just to judge this man with his wife having sex in their bedroom. And I also think it's really desperate at the same time that he's doing all of this, because we are talking about $150,000. That amount of money, you can use it to pay a house, all right, or to buy a house. And also with that amount of money, you can use it to maybe purchase a car as well. But to just hire somebody to be judging you for having your sex moves with your own wife in your own bedroom, like, Really? And also, why judge a couple having sex? I mean, sex is really different compared to singing and dancing. I mean, you can definitely judge somebody for their singing and their dancing, like on The Voice, on America's Got Talent, American Idol, you name it, because we're talking about talent. But when we're talking about sex, that ain't no talent. That's just pleasure. That is just, getting the funky funk. But I think that the reason to why this man was asking Simon Cowell to judge his sex moves with his wife is because I believe this man was so desperate enough into knowing whether or not this guy is really good at having sex in bed or not. Jesus Christ. And I believe too that, in my opinion, this guy really, really was like, okay, well, I want to be the best husband on earth and for my wife, which is the reason to why I really want to make sure that all of this is going on well with me and my wife and our sex life. So, yeah, this is just really interesting, and this is all funny at the same time, and I have never heard of anything this ridiculous and this funny in my life, and I am so glad that Simon Cowell got to decline all of this, because I believe that Simon Cowell would have put himself in a really uncomfortable position, having to just sit there and watch a couple having sex all night long and then getting paid $150,000. Like, really? And I'm sure that Simon Cowell don't even need $150,000 anyways, because the man is rich. So, anywho, this is just a bunch of OnlyFans, Pornhub thing going on here, and I think that the only judges of this couple having sex, I believe, are the people that work for Pornhub and the people that work for OnlyFans, because those people, they be getting their funk on 24/7. Simon Cowell, he is not a sex worker. He is not none of those things, okay? I mean, I'm sure that Simon Cowell has had his moves here and there with a few women, don't get me wrong, but I mean, for him to be having sex 24/7, like the sex workers out there that could possibly be a really good judge of this, no, he's not that type of person. I can imagine he isn't. Okay, now, that is it for today's show, ladies and gentlemen. I really hope you guys enjoyed today's lovely episode of The Jose Show. Till next time, and peace.